Hello everyone, I'm Eddie Ross from Quality Solicitors. Many of you met me on the recent regional meeting tour that we did when we came around the country to tell you what our plans were for QS over the coming months. You'll probably remember that I presented ideas for an advertising campaign that will start in the autumn. Well, I promised you that I would come back and tell you what we plan to do based on your input and on the work that we've been doing. Now, in those regional meetings, I showed you two creative routes. One, really quite safe and comfortable, fairly typical for the legal marketplace, and another one that was frankly very different and very unusual for what you'd expect in the legal marketplace. And I asked you to tell me whether you felt that we should be at number one on that safe kind of comfortable area, or at number 5 in the more radical and shall we say memorable area. And you, I think, gave me a pretty clear feedback that you would like us to be nearer the number 5 than the number 1. And here are a couple of the charts that I actually drew on that day based on your feedback. So we went back to various advertising agencies and we changed a little bit the brief based a lot on the feedback you'd given us and also what we felt was the right way to go with the campaign. The kind of things we told them were, we want this campaign to really stand out, but at the same time we want it to be kind of the kind of campaign that you could all be proud of, not offensive or just silly in some way, something that you'd be able to show your colleagues and your clients with a lot of pride. We also wanted it to be flexible enough to work for you locally and nationally and in as many different types of media as we could possibly manage. Maybe it should be humorous. A lot of you said to us, you know, if we can find a way to be a little bit humorous, we think that'd be a good thing in the rather serious legal marketplace. Perhaps we could find a symbol that could be picked on and then become associated with Quality Solicitors going forward. And you also said we'd like to hear some testing. We'd like to know what people in the street said about it, potential clients. Was it the right kind of way for Quality Solicitors to communicate? And can we find a way to make a campaign as efficient as possible from a cost point of view? So it was a pretty tough brief. Went back to these advertising agencies, asked them to come back to us very quickly with new ideas, and we actually saw 7 or 8 different ideas over the space of a week or so. One of those agencies came back to us with a different idea. They said, let's go directly to address the issues that people in the street have about lawyers. We know what those are. We talked about them in the regional meetings and Craig talked about them in some depth. That people feel that lawyers can be expensive, that they can be a little intimidating, that perhaps sometimes you might be guilty of using a bit of too much legal language, a little bit slow and not always great at communicating with your clients. On the other hand, people recognise that lawyers are very, very professional and at their best can be enormously helpful in fixing the issues that people are facing. And I know that all of you want to give a great service to your customers. So how could we perhaps address some of these kind of issues that people have with lawyers head on and turn this into something that we recognise and that brings us differentiation in the marketplace? Now, another brand had a similar kind of issue and they dealt with it head on. So see if you recognise this bit of film.
Yes, well, I've had my eye on one, you know, for a while. Wonderful car.
Wow, you made a good choice. Was what, car of the year?
Exactly, yes, exactly. And it's good value, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. You'd done the comparisons with the other mates.
Oh, yes, very favourable.
Some people still have that negative thing about Skodas. You know, they'd rather spend more money on a worse car, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah, ridiculous. That's what it is, it's ridiculous.
Can I get you another coffee?
Oh, yes, go on.
Now, of course, there are many differences between Skoda and quality solicitors, and I'm certainly not suggesting that our clients will want to run away from our brand. However, what Skoda does very well in their advertising is reflect back the concerns that their consumers have about them and their product, and at the same time pass the message that they're doing something about it. Could we take the same approach? Could we reflect back to our consumers about their concerns with lawyers, add a little bit of humour, and pass the message that at Quality Solicitors we're doing something about it? What if we were to say, Quality Solicitors, lawyers you might learn to love? So how can we take that thought and turn it into a powerful advertising campaign for Quality Solicitors? Well, what about this? Do you remember that famous symbol designed by Milton Glaser, I love New York? Well, in our case, we're saying, I love my lawyer. It's not impossible. Quality Solicitors, lawyers you might learn to love. So we're just taking a kind of humorous approach with a very powerful symbol that it will be most unusual in the legal marketplace, but extremely recognisable. So let's just look at what it actually says here in the text of the advertisement. I'm just going to read you a little bit. We're working to be more available, more affordable, more transparent, and far more customer focused, with consistent standards and principles across every local office in the nationwide Quality Solicitors network. And over here we're showing those promises that we make. And I'm sure you can see that as we improve our quality and as we improve our customer service and perhaps bring in the additional proposition that Craig was talking to us about at the regional meetings, this has become a very, very powerful campaign. So this badge device provides us with that symbol that we were talking about, something that can run right through the campaign and be completely associated with Quality Solicitors. It becomes almost like a stamp of approval across everything that we're doing, with our message continually communicated. So we've looked at how the campaign can be applied to the different needs of Quality Solicitors. So here, for example, we're looking at the 5 service promises. Then we drill down into one of those promises, Saturday opening. And then on into specific law types. Here, conveyancing. Or family law, for example. We've also looked at how the campaign can be applied locally, and we think that it's very flexible and will be very good for supporting you in your local marketing activities. Then on into the online area and in social media as well. And here once again we think that the badge device allows for a lot of flexibility online. And here I'd just like to point out how the badge device works with real people. And this is probably how we'll be using it in television and film applications. So we think that we may have found a really interesting, memorable and powerful campaign for Quality Solicitors. But in order to give us some confidence about that, we went out into the street and talked to some potential customers of yours to see what they think about it. Have a look at this film.
No.
I don't. I'm sorry, I don't.
Oh,
Ward had it with.
David Gray.
called Cunningham and something.
Steve Morgan's.
Oh yes, went by in a bus. Years ago, because I had an accident.
That was about my work permit.
It was for a dispute with a neighbour. It's just good, but it did take a little time.
It was all right. I mean, you know, the guy was really good and he helped me a lot.
Well, the speed of it.
Probably their fees.
It's your wallet in their hands, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't really know what they're talking about.
Sort of air about them.
Yeah.
And people find them quite intimidating.
Fantastic solution. Yeah. I think people might take it with a pinch of salt because everybody's going to put that sort of message across, aren't they?
I think to make it more regional, it has to have, as I've said before, quite, I'm not going to say less intelligent sounding people because that's not the right words, but a local accent, a northern accent.
I would think it's okay.
Yeah, why do you think it's okay?
It's a bit catchy, isn't it?
I would have to see how they can make me love them. I think love's quite a strong term.
It would depend upon how well they served you if you're going to love them.
A lot of things with solicitors is trust.
I'm having a feeling that if they don't love, they can't get any customers.
Clever, very clever, yeah. Quite like that one.
Yeah, but as I said before, I don't know why you would want to.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it, I suppose, in terms of, this is a lawyer that I would get along with.
I wouldn't say I mean, the best lawyer in the world, I wouldn't say I love him.
And I wouldn't go as far as saying I loved them. But as I say, I think you've got to trust them.
I think, again, I think it's quite a strong statement. I think it's good.
Again, it's nice. It's got a nice little promises bit in it.
I think it's quite catchy, and I think it's different. I think it's okay. And it's taken a very serious subject, which is kind of heartbreak and family breakup and all this kind of thing, and making it quite light. Yeah, I mean that works because again, it's kind of it should be exciting. So it's a bit more cuddly, a bit more friendly, a bit more sort of bringing you into the idea, so you're going to be more positive minded.
Yeah, I think that should be exciting. I think that it's a chord.
Good, actually, yeah.
So I think that broadly the message from the film is that people like the campaign. They find it memorable, they find it different, and they would be interested to see whether or not really this legal company was prepared to do all the extra things that would be needed to make them love them. And I think for me that is the power of this campaign. It's much more than just an advertising campaign. It's about a statement of promises and undertaking to go the extra mile and to provide that extra service that will really differentiate quality solicitors from other solicitors. So everything that I've shown you is very much work in progress. And what are our next steps? Well, we'll be doing some more research with focus groups from different parts of the country to refine the idea and get it to be as good as we possibly can. We're also working hard on the media plan, working out which media to use and with what weights. We're also looking at how you can apply the campaign locally and aiming to provide you with clear guidelines. Also, we're looking at the different law types and how the campaign works for your business customers. All of this will add up to a launch in early September, and we'll be communicating more with you during August about what exactly is happening. So, I hope you found this interesting, and I'd very, very much like to hear your opinion on the campaign. So please send in your views and thoughts on this to Louise Ward, the head of our partner firm marketing. Here's her email address. We'd like to hear from you and get your opinion. Many, many thanks.